Welcome, everyone. Welcome all. Welcome, Steve. And it's great to have all of you here. So, good afternoon and good evening, all APM students. And this is an additional support that has been curated by ACCA for you to support with your June 24 exams. And I would like to welcome Steve Willis, APM expert, where he will share the practical guidance on how to step up from performance management and provide insights into the nature of tasks, their structure, and current usage of tools while answering APM questions. He will also showcase a few examples to help you write answers that will earn you the marks needed to pass. So I'll not be taking any more time of yours because we have just short 45 minutes only. With this, I am handing over to Steve. Over to you.
Thank you, Richa. Hello again, APM students. I'm Steve. I'm honored to be here with you. I know the exam is coming up soon. You guys have a lot at stake here. You've invested a lot of your time, your resources. So let's do everything we can to help you get a pass. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into your PM assumed knowledge. You guys are coming into this exam with a toolbox already full of great tools. You know budgeting, you know financial control, you know specialist management accounting techniques, you know how to measure the performance of an organization, financial, non-financial. I want to help you learn how to leverage that toolbox into a pass on your upcoming APM exam. Now, look at the question I've got on the board here. Brick by brick, have a look. Scenario's not so big, is it? Got a couple paragraphs, you got, it fits nicely on the screen, doesn't it? And look at the task here. What is the cost of a GC using activity-based costing? So you got to pick something off of a list, don't you? Yeah, but sadly, those days are over. We're now in strategic professional exams. Have a look at this. Look at that. That's not even the whole question. I couldn't present the whole question on one slide, right? That's just one part of the question. You got a bigger story. That's just part of the story. You've got a lot more data here. And look down here. The tasks. The task is an open form task. You have a word processor and you are asked to assess something. Assess if we should switch our costing method. So guys, you have a new experience coming at you in a couple of weeks. What is different about APM? Well, guys, the questions are bigger. The questions are case studies. The questions are business scenarios with a lot more information to process. The tasks are more complex. You're working not on multiple choice, you are working in a Word document here. Okay. The verb is different as well. So your answer needs to make a new shape. You're going to be seeing verbs like assess, critically assess, evaluate, critically evaluate, recommend. So your answer needs a structure. Your answer needs to express some kind of judgment, and your answer in the end has to help the CEO or the leadership solve their business problem. So you're coming at this like a consultant on an engagement. Now, yeah, a lot of things are different, but a lot of the topics are the same. Guys, specialist management accounting. You've got activity-based costing, target costing, environmental management accounting. 3 of those topics carry forward to APM. anything, excuse me, anything that you did in decision-making could potentially come up in this exam. You have to demonstrate business acumen. You need to be evaluating a decision. Are there potentially some sunk costs? What's relevant to the decision? Guys, budgeting and control. All of the types of budgeting from PM are in APM. Variance analysis is in APM. Guys, and performance management is in APM. All of the model, all of the ratios that you learned how to calculate on any paper, not just PM, are fair game, plus the models of the balanced scorecard, the building block model, value for money. So guys, a lot of the topics are the same. What I want to do over the next 45 minutes, let's talk about how you can leverage this knowledge that you already have into a pass on APM. I'm going to be talking about exam technique a lot. Let's not just talk theoretically. Let me show you. If you have any questions, guys, please put them in the Q&A window, and I'll do my best at the end to answer as many as I can. So guys, let's look at specialist management accounting. In there, we have activity-based costing. This topic can come up in APM. Let's look at how it's the same. Let's look at how it's different. There's that brick by brick again. We just talked about that, okay? In the PM exam, the specialist management accounting, it's only objective test, okay? And that's the key right there, the verb. So we have the verb assess right here. Assessment requires, sorry about that, I keep accidentally going there when I'm showing that. So now you are assessing something. When you assess something, you have to say if it's good or bad. Should we do it? Should we not do it? Why? And what is the justification for your assessment? So we're assessing if we should switch to ABC, okay, in two divisions of the company. So guys, we're looking into your toolbox in MA, in the specialist management accounting. So in your last exam, the main event was calculating the activity-based cost, the ABC cost per unit. Yeah, you spent 80% of your time doing that when you practiced for the exam, and then memorizing the little bits that could come up in the theory part. But guys, now you need to be able to answer these questions. Should we use this tool? Yes or no? When should we use it? How should we use it? Why should we use it? So this is going to require more knowledge about the background of this tool rather than the simple calculations that we did in the specialist MA part of the exam. And then when should we not use the tool? So PM, calculate. APM, should we use it? Should we switch? And what are the benefits? What are the possible issues? And overall, every time you are trying to ensure that your answer is helping the CEO solve their problem. So let me show you how we would use ABC in a question like this. Guys, APM requires a structure for your answer. When you are assessing, you need to group your ideas together. It's best if you could put the most important ideas first. If you're talking about pros and cons, it's great to link those together. Whenever you're assessing, you should wrap things up with an overall comment as well. So very important, you see the verb assess. Let's set a structure. So we're talking about the timber division and the steel division. We got two divisions. So this would be right in my word processor, team. Okay, I'm in the word processor. I'm doing exactly what the CEO wanted me to do. Answering for both divisions. Now, I think that the timber division should stay with absorption costing. And I'm now going to set my subheadings, the high-level structure of my answer. I found a couple of reasons why the company shouldn't switch to ABC. First one was simple production, product range. Second was low overheads. Now, in PM, again, you're just checking things off of a list. Here, you've got to come up with your argument and you've got to justify that argument and you've got to link it to the scenario. So look what I did. Simple product range. The timber division makes 6 variations of one product, roof frames. This means, guys, this is a great expression for developing your idea further. You make your point and then you can say this means, and you drill into it a bit more. This means the activities involved are probably similar for all variations of the product. For example, cutting lengths of wood and bolting them together. Now, guys, here's a very important APM exam tip. Try to make your answer as realistic as possible, link it to the story, treat it as a business role play. So when I do this, I'm earning the technical marks because my idea fits within the concept of ABC, but I'm also framing my answer really in the story here. And I'm imagining I work there. So this means the activities involved are probably similar for all variations of the product. Allocating overheads on activity consumption versus machine or labor hours won't result in a significant difference in the cost per unit. So guys, right there, I'm taking my knowledge of ABC and I'm applying it to this story, this situation. I justified my answer as well right there. Second idea, low overheads. As you guys know from your studies, activity-based costing is a technique when our business has high overheads and heterogeneous output. All of our output, we have a wide product range. Our products are consuming varied quantities of activity. So it's difficult to allocate overheads. But in this case, right, we have low overheads. Overheads only make up 1% of the total cost in this division. So any method of cost allocation won't have a big impact on total cost per unit. Guys, look at this. Every idea that you develop isn't going to be, 4 lines long. Sometimes there's nothing more to say, and if that's the case, make your point and move on. But look at this. I've got two justified ideas using evidence from the scenario. I'm answering the question that is asked. It won't have a big impact on total cost per unit, won't result in a significant difference in cost per unit. Now, tying it together with an overall comment. The costs involved in switching to ABC, for example, a new accounting system, training, collection of data, probably outweigh the benefits. So the costs outweigh the benefits. They should keep absorption costing. So team, we were looking for 8 marks, 8 divided by 2 divisions, 4 marks per division. I've got 3 ideas, one of them really well developed, both of them linked to the story, justifying my ideas. Overall comment, I'm confident I've got a comfortable pass here. Guys, everybody go into the chat window now. Give me a thumbs up or a plus that this is making sense. You're going to need to use your knowledge of specialist management accounting techniques and really apply that knowledge right to the story now. So team, what was different between that and PM? Well, the structure of the answer, more complex, structuring the first step to crafting a passing answer in APM. So you've got to consider the structure. Then, once you have your structure in place, you've got to consider the creation, the crafting of your answer. You've got to be expressing judgment most of the time. It's very infrequently will they say explain something or describe something. It really doesn't come up that in APM. Okay, so you're going to be taking a stand. You're going to be expressing judgment. You've got to link your answer to the story. Close your eyes. Imagine you work there. You're talking to the CEO. Use examples to support your idea that fit with the company, that fit with the industry. Okay, and you're building an argument. It's a logical argument. I shouldn't do this because of this. Also, we shouldn't do it because of this. Also, we shouldn't do it because of this. Then you sprinkle in, however, we have to think about this. Overall, I say this. So what you need to do for your specialist management accounting topics, you've got ABC, EMA, target costing. Go back through there and look at the theoretical areas with greater importance. If the numbers come up, it's usually more as an illustrative calculation. It won't be heavy calculating. It will be illustrative. So go back into the pros and cons. When do we use it? Why do we use it? How do they help? What are the limitations? So guys, that's what you're going to do. How the tool helps. When do we use it? What are the limitations? Guys, budgeting. Whoa. Look at this one, guys. Look at this one. That's intense, isn't it? What do you guys think? There's a lot there to read, isn't it? That's not even the whole question, guys. Once again, that's only part of the question. So you really need to practice your exam technique in the last weeks before the exam. You really have to practice going through the exhibits, finding the embedded requirements, finding the important information. Know what you're looking for before you do a detailed read, so you can just extract what you're looking for quickly. Big scenario. Now look at this. Respond to the institutional shareholders' requests for work in the following areas. Something about the current budgeting system, 14 marks. It's a lot of marks, guys. Now, I didn't mention this before, but you should know by now that APM has the idiosyncrasy of the embedded requirements. That's another big departure from your PM exam. In PM, they told you exactly what to do in that little requirement statement. Here, you've got to dig around in the exhibits and find the task. Look at this. First, evaluate the weaknesses in the current system and whether it is suitable for the environment in which Perkin operates. So guys, structure. We're not going to just chuck a generic pros and cons down because we need weaknesses only. So what we're going to need to do is set up our workspace so we can very carefully and quickly read the exhibits and then find the weaknesses as headings and set up your answer as you read. The toolbox, guys, every type of budgeting that you know from PM is in APM. Activity-based budgeting, incremental budgeting, rolling budgets, zero-based budgets, beyond budgeting, it's all there. It's another toolbox, okay, that you already built up. And again, it's about using the toolbox in a new way. So in your PM exam, 60% of the time, you're just picking the budgeting type. You're picking it off of a list, aren't you? It's just you got a list. What type of budget best matches the description? Or you're going to be doing calculations. Recalculate the budget using a rolling budget approach. Okay, so you know how to do this. You know how to do this. You love it. It's not that bad. But guys, in APM, before you do anything, you've got to frame your answer in the specifics of this company. So what industry are they in? Is it a not-for-profit? Is it a service industry? Is it manufacturing? And what challenges is the company facing? Now, you got to look at the external environment. Is it a dynamic, fast-moving industry with short product life cycles, high competitive rivalry, many players? Now, forecasting, financial control might be really important in such an environment. Now, what are the current problems caused by the budgeting approach? So this is what you need to do with all of those types of budgets. You've got to be able, you can apply those to a business situation. When are they helpful? How do they help? Are there limitations? So let me show you what I would do in such a situation. I'm going to come back here. We know we're looking for weaknesses. No way I'm going to get 14 marks. I can accept that. I want more than 7 marks, though, because 7 would just be the bare minimum, a little bit risky. So I would cut my marks in half and then add a buffer of 2 or 3 marks. So I'd be going for 9, maybe 10 ideas here in this. Okay. Now, I am going to create my answer headings. You can picture I got the exhibits over here. I've got my my response option here. I hope I'm doing this left and right correctly because it's reversed. I don't know. And as you read, you structure your answer. You don't start with a stream of consciousness writing exercise, right? So the first thing I saw, blocking innovation. I saw encouragement of poor decision making. I saw the budgeting doesn't fit the dynamic environment. It's demotivating the management. We see poor resource control. We see that it's contributing to a culture of fear. And that's how I get started. Okay, I've got 6 things there. I'm going to start with those 6. Can I develop those answers? Can I come up with a couple of more ideas as I start writing. So look at this, blocking innovation. The budgeting process at Perkins is an annual approach, unsuitable for the fast-changing environment. The industry has short life cycle products, but Perkins uses an annual approach to the budgeting. The forecasts will be wildly inaccurate, as we see in Division G. Financial control will be poor with these forecasts, as the actuals will be very different from the outdated budget. Guys, right there, the heading should have been time horizon right there, blocking innovation. So I got a little bit mixed up here, but you get the idea. The heading should be the time horizon is too long, okay? The budgeting window is too long. Annual, too long. Encouraging, well, let's go back to that for a second. I developed my point. I said that something is unsuitable. This first sentence, yes, it makes sense, but if I had left my answer with this first sentence, it would not have earned a mark because it would have been unjustified, right? Then I go on and I justify my answer linking to the story. That is earning credit. Financial control will be poor with these forecasts. The actuals will be very different from the outdated budget. So now I might be on track to earn some skepticism marks because I'm not afraid to take a critical point of view. And I'm defending my points there. Encouraging poor decision making. We see that Division G made a decision to close its R&D facility to improve its bottom line for the year. But R&D is the driver of innovation, Perkins CSF. Their annual incremental approach to budgeting was the cause here. Product development and future growth are now jeopardized. So they're making poor short-term decisions because they're focusing on annual profit. The manager's bonuses are tied to that annual profit. So let's cut any cost to hit my target, to hit my numbers for this year. Guys, I'm liking how this answer is coming together. It's linked to the story. I make my point. Everything is related to the problems of annual incremental budgeting, which is in your syllabus, right? So look at this. It's using your toolbox in a new way. So guys, again, what was different about answering the APM question about budgeting? Well, you had to plan out your answer. Find your ideas, then write them up. Several short sentences to develop an idea, everything linked to the story, always saying, for example, this means argument. Everything is judgmental here. It's a weakness because this is the problem, this is the problem, this is why it's bad. I'm avoiding descriptions. I'm avoiding rewriting parts of the scenario. You don't need copy paste. The only time you need copy paste is when you get those requirements into your word processor document. Then you are done copy pasting. Guys, the quantity of writing, you're going to have to practice this. Okay, the writing quantity much lower in PM. Maybe you got 4, 6, maybe 4 or 6 marks. Maybe, if you were unlucky, 8 marks. Okay, so bigger requirements to write up. Guys, your next step, go back through each type of budgeting And you need to compare the modern type of budgeting, the activity-based budgeting, the rolling budgeting, the zero-based budgeting. How does it help solve the problems of incremental budgeting? So go back into incremental budgeting. What are the problems there? But you also have to remember, incremental budgeting does have its place. If we have a stable company, okay, in a mature industry, low competitive rivalry, stable, a small product range, well, maybe incremental is good enough. So you need to be able to apply any of these ideas to the story. How does the budgeting approach help? When is it appropriate? In what situation? So guys, you've got your budgeting toolbox. It's not just going to be calculate the budget and pick something off the list. It's going to be one of these things. Guys, performance measurement. Whoa, look at that. That's crazy. Another colossal case study, right? So you got to, as I said, you're going to really need to hone your skills these last 2 weeks, get into the practice platform, practice everything that I showed you in the mock exam debrief videos. So if you want to get more tips, do the mock exam, which is ready for you in the practice platform, and then go view the debrief videos that ACCA and I did, and you're going to get a lot more tips, okay? So if you want more tips like this, go check out those debrief videos. But I just digressed. We're looking at the intense case study here, many exhibits to read. In these exhibits, you're going to find the embedded tasks. You have to learn how to pull those out of there. And I did that. And respond to the CEO's request for work in the following areas. Something about a current performance measurement system. And the CEO believes that there are major gaps in the current list of metrics that are used by this company. So they want you to provide an evaluation of the current system. Look at that. There's that verb again. Evaluate, express judgment, good or bad, and suggest improvements. But they warn us not to overload with too much data. Everything should be reasoned. Every argument should be reasoned. So what's happening here, guys? We're breaking out the biggest of all, the mega toolbox, the performance measurement toolbox, okay? What's in that toolbox? All of the ratios, not going to go through them here, and you have 3 models. Balanced scorecard, the grandfather or the grandmother of all of them. Then you have building block model, and you have value for money. Now, you also, in APM, you have a couple of new tools, but they're very similar, okay, to the tools you have. So if you already know how to use a framing hammer, right, you're going to know how to use a shingle hammer. Very similar tool. You know, you use it a bit differently. It has a little bit different shape, but if you know one, you know the others. So now you leverage your PM knowledge into the new topics as well, okay? So in your PM exam, you had to calculate a ratio and you had to pick the right answer from the list, or you had to assess the performance of a company. Guys, this requirement in PM, assess the performance of the company. That is the most APM-like thing that you did, okay? That is a good thing. If you could do that in PM, It's going to help you here in APM because you are assessing. You're saying, is the company doing well or badly? So that is a skill carried directly forward. But guys, they don't often say just assess the performance of the company. They often ask you to evaluate some performance report, evaluate the approach to transfer pricing, complete the benchmarking exercise, and evaluate the divisions. In that case, that is rather similar to what you did in PM right there. The list goes on, guys. Okay, so this is maybe the most important toolbox, right? Maybe. So look at this. Respond to the CEO's request for work on the following areas. We've got to deal with a current measurement system and your assumed knowledge balanced scorecard. What's the takeaway? We want a range. We want a range of financial, non-financial balance. So we're measuring the drivers of success. We want a long-term perspective. That evolves into the performance pyramid. Then we have this one. I'm sorry, the building block model, right? That evolves into the building block model. Then we've got performance pyramid. Now, if you just try to study this by itself, you know, it's just this new thing. What is it? Why do we have it? What's the deal with it? But if you frame it in your PM knowledge, oh, it's just another one of these models. I already know most of them, and it's actually quite similar. All of the models have financial performance. All of the models talk about what's important to the customer. So it's actually quite similar. And you get data. Look at this. We've got some data. This is the report, the dashboard. Pretty simple. Not a lot there. Now, look at my answer. What is covered well? What is covered poorly? Okay, evaluate the measurement system. So what's done well by the system? What's done badly by the system? Then I'm going to give an overall comment. You guys see a pattern here? No matter what I'm doing in APM, I'm always starting with a high-level structure based on the requirement. And then I go into the exhibits and I go into that report and I find, right, what's covered well, what's covered badly. And it doesn't matter which one they give you. If they said evaluate the report using the balanced scorecard, you're just going to have different sections there. If they say use the building block model, then it'll have, you know, a slightly different list. And here I saw that financial was done well, delivery and cycle time were covered well, design was covered well, covered badly or poorly, quality, satisfaction. And there's a couple more things that are going to come to mind as I'm reading. So I'm confident I'm going to get 8 or 9, 10 marks out of this. Every idea developed, every idea linked to the scenario. And remember, we're also giving a suggestion under each of these headings, right? So there's a potential for 2 marks under each heading. Now, look at this. My answer is going to be developed. I'm going to develop it, craft my answer the same way. The included financial metrics cover the main perspectives: profit, sales, and efficiency. Okay? Now, that's a bit of a bland statement there. I don't think that by itself would really get a mark, okay? But these are well understood by directors and give a big picture view of financial performance, so they should be included. Okay, so now I justified why it's good to have those there. I develop it a bit further. We see in the story that sales growth is strong, and they're measuring growth in sales. So they're getting what they measure. I'm giving the technical knowledge right back to the marketing team. Graviton is listed, so shareholders are important. Directors will want to measure financial performance. So hopefully I got 2 marks happening there, right? 2 ideas under that, but improvement. The performance report does not link to the company's vision of maximizing shareholder wealth. Guys, if you're well prepared, you should be looking at this and saying, wow, I know how to do this. This is what always comes up. It is kind of what always comes up, isn't it? All the metrics in the report are based on accounting profit only. Adding EVA will show if the company is adding shareholder value. EVA shows if shareholder value is added or eroded. Maybe that one was a bit redundant. It considers the company's cost of capital and economic profits rather than accounting profits. So very important, justifying why EVA should be in there. That came up in different examiners' reports when students give a suggestion, but they don't say why this thing is better. So I'm saying why it's better. So guys, I'm looking at a bunch of marks right here. Quite happy with how that came out. So guys, what was different there from PM? Well, how do you use these models? You don't use them. You don't have to pick something off of a list, which thing goes with which model. You need to use the model to evaluate something or to recommend performance metrics. Once again, you've got to develop an argument, and in this case, you needed to also give improvements. Why is something good? Why is something bad? What would be better? And again, the structure is critical in everything you do in APM. Guys, next steps. Go back through, review all of those models, the ones from PM that you know and love. Then when you go to the APM ones again, you're going to see, oh, it's just more of the same. I know what this is. It's just a new type of the thing that I know. What improvement does each one bring? What are the limitations, right? So the building block model brings in rewards for service organization. Performance pyramid brings in levels of the organization, each level measuring different things. Okay, now remember, you got to be able to apply these to any type of an organization. Okay, for profit, not for profit, service, manufacturing. And make sure you know all of those ratios that you knew in PM, because they can come up in benchmarking. They can come up for, 5, 7 marks. Guys, to recap, APM is coming at you, but luckily you already have a big part of the toolbox built up. So you got the same tools, but you're building bigger things, right? You've got bigger projects to complete. So what are you going to do? Get into a new mindset. The tools are there to help the directors of the company, right? To help you help the directors. How can these performance management tools solve the problems that the directors have? Get yourself into a practical frame of mind. Imagine that you work at the company. Imagine you're going for a job there. Would they hire you based on your answer? You think the markers will see some of your ideas as insightful? If you're saying yes to these things, you're in the right mindset. Guys, big picture view. Now it's like you're doing a master's degree, right? So you've got to look at the issue from different points of view. So now you got to know the limitations of all of these tools. When don't they work? What are the problems of implementing these tools? So you're resetting your assumptions here. Now, next thing you got to do, get into that practice platform, get into the mock exam. Make sure you're doing practice exam 1, practice exam 2. Block out the mock exam this weekend, 3 hours, 15 minutes. Do it in the morning, then take a break, come back later, debrief your answer with the debrief videos. Now, when you're practicing questions, you don't have to write up the whole answer. When a marathon runner is getting ready for the marathon, they don't run marathons, right? You run little pieces of a race. So structure your whole answer and then write up 2 or 3 ideas, then move on to the next. So you can cover more questions that way. Guys, we've got a little bit of time for Q&A. If you can hang around a little bit more, let me see what questions you have, and I will do my best to answer them. How many mock exams do you recommend doing? If you can do 3, that would be incredible. But time is running out. 3 would be amazing. 2 would be, you know, if you can't do 3, do 2. You got to do the new mock exam, and you have to do at least one of the practice exams, okay, in the practice platform. Here's a question about marks and development. Here's a question. For a well-developed point or a well-developed idea, can we aim for 2 marks? Yes, you can get a follow-on mark if you've made your point and now you're giving a really rich example. You're saying however, you're saying in addition, you're saying also. So if you develop that idea further, you can earn a follow-on mark. So you can get 2 marks. Here's a question. Does every point in our answer need to show some skepticism? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Only apply skepticism when you are feeling skeptical about something. Clues when you should be feeling skeptical. If there's a statement in the question by the manager, yeah, quality is dropping, but we still have our market share, so we don't really care about quality. It's not a big deal. Our market share is stable. So that you could challenge that. If you see the verb critically assess, you know you've got to make some negative points. If you see assess, okay, you're also going to be making some negative points. So skepticism only when you are feeling skeptical about something. Don't force yourself to do that every time you develop a point. Here's a question. Will the exam requirements explicitly ask about the models, or are the models there for us to use as we structure our answer as we did in SBL? Guys, it's different than SBL. In APM, 2 things can happen. One, they're going to ask you to evaluate something, suggest performance metrics, suggest critical success factors using the specific model. So then you must use it. It's not generic like SBL. But then the other way you can use the models, if you are having a general discussion in your answer, if you think that there needs to be more metrics in some performance report or there's too much financial, you could say, well, for example, we could use the balanced scorecard approach here would be a great way to structure our report. So you can also bring it in as you might have in SBL. So you got 2 ways to use the models. Here's a question. How do we avoid being generic when answering the questions? Well, one thing that you can do to avoid being generic, say, for example, as much as possible. When you're saying, for example, right, it's forcing you to link back to the story and try then to give your example in the context of the business story. Another way you can avoid being generic, when you make your point, after you make your point, get in the habit of saying because. This is a limitation of the model because. If you say because, it forces you to write more. And then you're going to be linking to the story. The third thing that you should do is you should really close your eye, get in the right state of mind before you start that compute, before you hit next. Just close your eyes, just get in the right state of mind. I am a consultant. I'm going to work for this company. I'm going to help the CEO with whatever problems they have. And that way I'm going to be specific. Couple more questions, guys, then we're going to have to wrap it up. So here's a question about structure. In question 1, what kind of headings do we need to include? In question 1, you get communication professional marks. You earn these marks when you demonstrate communication skills. There are 5 communication skills marks available. One of the marks comes from making your report look like a report and giving it a nice structure. So what you need to do, the top of the report should look like a draft report. Put the company name, right? Get yourself in the state of mind that it's a role play. Give it a generic title, performance management issues at blah, blah, blah. To board of directors from, leave it blank, date, leave it blank, introduction. Those are the headings that you need in question 1. And then in the body of the report, make sure you're using headings and subheadings, you're grouping your ideas together. Write with a concise style. Imagine that you're writing an email to a friend at work. Doesn't have to be too fancy. Avoid long academic definitions of things. Don't drift off. And you're going to be you'll easily get a pass on the communication marks. Here's a good question. This is about when a question on APM asks about impact or assess the use of a model on performance management. That's that's a bit hard to digest. When they say the impact on performance management, always just go back to the definition of performance management, right? What systems do we have in place to help us reach our objectives? How can we help the company reach their objectives? So if they say, what's the impact of this tool on performance management? Well, is it helping us reach our objectives somehow? Is it helping us reduce cost per unit? Is it helping us improve efficiency? Is it helping us improve quality? Because all of these things then tie back to lower costs, higher profit, happier customers, stronger competitive advantage. So yes, that's what I would do. Hi, Richa.
Thank you, Steve. So we are just very much, I will say, not on time. We have just extended the time by 5-10 minutes for the betterment of the students so that they can know more about APM exam and how they can do better in their exams as well, and try to answer as much questions as possible in this short period of time. Thank you so much, Steve, for being here with us today and helping us, all these students, with their APM exams. And I believe you will definitely take away many good things from here and will be applying the same in your exams as well. So don't worry, you can watch the recording of this session by tomorrow evening. Just try to find it out in the YouTube playlist. The link I have shared in the chat box. And secondly, there is a favor you need to do to us by filling up this feedback form for us so that we can do more for you from the next session as well. Okay, thank you so much. With this, I will say goodbye to everyone, to my colleagues at the back end, supporting us with answering the questions in the chat. And thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Good luck.